Hello, Mars. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but are you able to hear me this time or?
I am able to hear you. All right, wonderful.
Wait,
Okay,
hang on before you go live, or are you live already?
we are live right now.
Okay, give me a second. Um,
Let me make sure with my chat. Everyone, can you hear Mars? You should be fine. Also, Mars, you don't have to have your video on if you do not want to. Yes, my chat says that they can hear you. You can turn your video off or leave it on. It makes no difference to me. That just makes it a little easier for the internet. Or like
well,
it's a little less stress on your internet connection. But if you want that, then that's fine.
yeah, I was gonna live stream it on my channel, so
Okay.
that's why I was gonna do that. But I mean, do whatever you gotta do on your end, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. So are you fine
So,
to get into preliminary issues, or is there any other logistical things with video that you need to take care of, or are you fine with how things are?
um, it's loading right now, so give me a sec.
What's loading right now?
I'm working on my end. I'll be ready here in like less than a minute.
Okay,
And
you're
then,
getting things going.
yeah.
Um, okay. Well, if you want, I can just ask. Like, I have a couple preliminary matters we can just take care of that aren't really like debate related. If we can just get those out of the way, so we can save time.
Sure.
All right.
Shoot.
Do you have any preferred pronouns you want me to refer to you by? Just I ask this to everyone out of courtesy.
Okay, well, that courtesy is kind of annoying, but yeah, obviously he, him, so
Okay. I just like I made the assumption, but I just wanted to make sure, man.
mhm.
Obviously, and I also just want to make sure, like, and I don't think you would do this. I don't think that you would do something like this, but I just want to make sure that you're aware. I go by she, her. Do not misgender me,
Mhm.
or I'm just gonna end the debate, right?
Mhm.
So I just wanted to get that out there ahead of time and just like make sure that you don't pull like a Ben Shapiro, be like, well, I'm just gonna just misgender you for the
Yeah.
sake of it, right? Yeah. So I just wanted
mm,
to. I don't think that you will, but I wanted to put it out there.
yeah, I'm not interested in that, so I'd rather just focus on the conversation. So yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you a couple logistic questions? They're simple questions. They're just things that
Yeah,
I need to cover. All right. Do
go
you
for it.
acknowledge? Now you can answer these three questions with just a simple yes. Do you acknowledge
Mhm.
that I'm not a lawyer?
That you're not a lawyer?
That I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah, you're just going to school
Yep.
basically for it, but yeah.
Yep. Do you acknowledge that any legal information I provide is not legal advice?
Right. This is definitely not legal advice. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And do you acknowledge that if you want legal advice, that you should hire an attorney? I know. Like, listen.
Um,
They're
I,
super. I just have
uh,
to ask them. Like,
okay.
if I don't ask them, I could literally be like kicked out of law school. I just need to cover
Gotcha.
my ass.
Yeah, you're good. No worries. This is just a
Okay.
conversation between two people, so.
All right, cool. I just want it like I know it seems silly, like I know, and I just want like I
Hmm.
just have to ask it, right? Like my legal educate like I put too much into this, right? To let something small sort of possibly
Right.
ruin it for me. Okay.
Hmm.
Now this is something more just for me. Um so like basically what I want is like a promise of honesty and civility. Like listen, I want to be friends. I want to go into this and have like a good conversation and all. And I'm like a little afraid. I'll be honest. Like I'll be completely honest. I'm a little
Okay.
afraid that no matter what arguments I make, that nothing I say will convince you to change your mind. So since you are the
Well,
one who asked me to come on in the
yeah.
first place, can you just promise that you will change your mind if I disprove your arguments with superior
Um,
evidence? So I know you're
no.
arguing in good faith.
So I'm not gonna make you any promises because I have no reason to make I mean, I don't even know you personally, so I'm not gonna make a promise that I don't know that I can keep for one. Two,
Okay, so how do I know?
I'm
Okay, go on.
hang on a second. I mean, I asked you if you want to have a conversation, which is generally how I try to go into. My channel is mostly focused on conversations, not debates. So I'm here because I like to make my point, and you can make your point. From your end, if you want to come out of this trying to change my mind, you can try, of course, but I'm not trying to necessarily change your mind. I'm trying to clarify my point more than anything, if that makes sense.
Okay, so let
Um,
me ask you something then.
yeah.
if there is nothing that I can say that will change your mind, how do I know you're arguing in good faith?
So,
Like, how do I know?
well, I mean, I just don't. I'm not gonna make promises to people. So, I mean, if we're gonna start off like this is not
I mean,
like I have
literally,
no
just
reason.
like, just all I want is like, listen, if I like, this isn't about
Okay.
just like 2 points of view. It's like
Hmm.
if you make an argument and I
Yeah,
disprove it with superior evidence, then like you're not going to continue to have a wrong opinion, are you?
I'm not. Okay. So we're already starting off like going in circles. If you say something that makes sense to me and I'm wrong, I don't mind admitting it, but like I'm not gonna make promises to people. Like I don't even know where this conversation is gonna go. So I feel like it's
That's
unfair to
listen,
ask.
that's no,
Yeah.
that's all I was asking, right? Like if I
Okay.
like
Well.
if like the evidence
Mm,
shows that you say something and it's logistic just like
right.
objectively wrong, then you admit it. That's all.
Sure. Also depends where you're getting your information, because let's be honest, nowadays you can get stats from two different places, and depending on your narrative and what you want to believe. So I'm just gonna point that out there.
Yeah, yeah,
But I
yeah.
really just I do want to say one more thing though, because I have noticed already your followers plus other people's followers like Vosh, like I don't know what everybody's concluding based off of one video, but for God's sake, like I'm actually pretty understanding and I'd like to have a conversation. I'm not here to
Yeah.
again convince you.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm also fairly I try to be fairly reasonable with like my concerns. So we can talk about stuff, but like I'm definitely not here to insult you or anybody else. Like I'll do my
Yeah.
best to reason with you. So
No, I get that. Like that's all that I want. I just want to know that I'm going into this conversation with someone who's operating in good faith. That's all the question was, right? Like I just want to
mm,
make yeah, like I want the exact same thing that you do, is just to have a good faith conversation. All right?
yeah.
Okay. The next preliminary thing. So actually, I was wondering if you'd indulge me. I want to learn a little bit more about how you think. And so what I want to do is just like ask you a hypothetical just to get a better idea of how you think about certain things, because I want to be able to respond better to you as we go throughout this conversation. Is that cool?
Um, sure, depending on what you ask, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So, two children, A and B, go to an ice cream shop with their mom. When they arrive, their mom gives them both $5 to get whatever ice cream they want. The mom then sits on a bench and lets the children go up and get ice cream on their own. Child A is pretty simple, and there's nothing wrong with that. So he wants vanilla and plans on ordering vanilla. Child B leans over and asks, "Hey, have you ever tried strawberry? It's pretty good." Child A heard this and understood it as any other average person would. Hearing this, Child A sprints back to his mother, crying. When the mother asked Child A what was wrong, Child A says that Child B was trying to force Child A to eat strawberry ice cream.
Okay.
Question:
Uh,
Did Child A honestly represent what actually happened?
I mean, I honestly, could we just go into the conversation? This is kind of
It's a
silly.
very simple question. Child
Well,
A
yeah, but
heard one thing and said another. Did he honestly
mhm.
represent what happened?
I mean, I don't know. There's probably more to it.
There's nothing more to it. I promise those
Yeah.
are all the facts.
Okay, that's fine. I just really like, I mean, I told you,
It's a simple
I, under-
hypothetical.
I get that, but I don't want to play like these kind of games. Like, could we just have a conversation like two adults, please?
It's not a simple conversation. Just did the
Mhm.
child honestly represent what happened?
Okay, so I'm not gonna answer that. I
You're
mean,
not going to answer. All right, why?
I'm not because I just told you I'd like to focus on the conversation. Like this is kind of ridiculous. Like I just want to talk about
You just
what
want
we
to talk
agreed to
about?
talk about.
Yeah, yeah,
Right, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
And this goes
and
to
if
that.
you have and if you have doubt in my train of thought and how I think of things, that's the whole point of a conversation, right?
Yeah,
You'll get the gist of it,
I want to figure out how you think.
and you
That's the whole
will if you
point.
talk to me,
I'm
not ask me
talking to
these
you
like
right now.
yeah. So let's just jump into like the
So you're not going to
conversation.
answer the question. All right, this is unnecessarily difficult, but okay.
Yep.
Okay then. The last preliminary thing is I want to establish a definition of transphobia. So
Mm-hmm.
I understand this is something you want to do as well. Do you want to take a shot at it? Do you have any
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I mean, to me, transphobia is basically like, directly being hateful or inciting violence towards somebody that is trans for that reason in itself. Just, I mean, as a small definition, but yeah.
So wait, I just want to be clear. It's inciting violence towards a trans person? That's your only definition of
No,
transphobia?
I said hatred, violence. Like if you're directly, attacking somebody for those reasons, like you're, being hateful towards somebody because they're trans or violent, like because they're like, I mean, violence is bad regardless. But my point is, that's to me, transphobia is when you're like directly doing something towards somebody just because they're trans, basically.
Okay, so I hear you. That's a little much for me, or a little vague. I've looked at several different definitions. I've looked at the Wikipedia definition, the Merriam-Webster, the dictionary.com. Here's the thing about this. A lot of these definitions go to mindset or subjective analysis. Now, do you know what the difference between objective and subjective analysis is?
Yeah, subjective is based on like feelings and object. Yeah.
Yeah. So to be clear, subjective analysis tries to go to understand what someone thinks, whereas objective analysis analyzes something regardless of what someone thinks of the thing we're looking at. So I don't care what's going on inside Arielle's head. I don't care about whether or not she is herself transphobic. I don't care about her intentions. All I care about are her actions, the effects her actions have on other people, and whether other people could justifiably criticize her actions and call them transphobic. In the words of a much more popular leftist YouTuber than I, the color of your soul is between you and God, but your ass belongs to me. So
Okay.
I'm going to propose an objective definition of transphobia. A transphobic action is any action which has a materially adverse effect on a trans person or group of trans people by virtue of the fact they are transgender. Is that fine? Just looking at the actions.
Sure.
All right, cool. All right, then. That's all the preliminary things that I have to attend to. Do you have anything else before we get into the argument?
Yeah, I guess we should define what a woman is.
Ooh, so this is actually something that we'll probably be getting into as we go through. Is it fine if we sort of kick that can down the road until we naturally get there? Because believe me, I do have thoughts on that.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So in your video, at 4 minutes and 43 seconds, you say the following. Everybody has a problem with Arielle speaking out. That's just, like, a thing. I don't know why specifically her. The only reason that I have come to, like the only conclusion that I've come to is that Arielle is a woman, and you guys are all a bunch of misogynistic assholes. That's what you said, right?
Right.
Okay. I'm going to argue this is dishonest for 2 reasons. First, Arielle has done transphobic things. And secondly, that Vosh and Xanderhall specifically go out of their way to do the opposite.
Okay. Well, can you give me an example of Arielle, like just one, Arielle doing one transphobic thing?
Oh, don't worry. I've got more than one. But yes, that's exactly where I'm going right now. So, into the argument about Arielle doing transphobic things. The important place to start is that the majority of her recent videos have included anti-trans content. Specifically, 7 out of 11, since and including her leaving the left video.
Okay. Sorry, I have a hard time, if you don't mind, try to like separate what you're gonna say a little bit, because I don't know how much further we're gonna go, but give me a chance to like process what you're saying basically, because
don't worry, I'm willing to work with you. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So all I said, just to repeat, I'm going into how Arielle has done transphobic things, and one of the major examples is how the majority of her recent videos have included anti-trans content, specifically 7 out of 11, since and including her leaving the left video. I'm now going to go into specific examples from those videos. You good?
Good.
Okay. In her first video of that sort of series, I'm a lesbian woman and I'm leaving the insane progressive left. At 7 seconds in, Arielle claims that she doesn't think that gender is a social construct. Now, Mars, do you think that belief is wrong or transphobic?
How is that I mean, I don't agree with her. I think there are definitely a lot of aspects that, well, gender and sex are separate, right? And there's a lot of stuff that is related, and most of it, in fact, is socially constructed. But I mean, there is a slight connection between gender and sex as far as, typically society is men and women, and that's how people view everyone, right?
Well, Mars, I get that.
So
Sure,
Hold
go
on, let
on.
me finish. So yeah,
Okay.
basically, her saying, let's say gender is wrong, I believe, or gender is not a social construct,
She
right? Is that what
said
she said?
that Arielle claimed that she doesn't think that gender is a social construct.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't agree with that because I think there's more to it than that. So
Yeah, but you would agree that's transphobic to say that, right?
how is that transphobic? Is gender only directly affecting trans people?
Are you say so? Are you making the argument? I just want to be clear. Are you making the argument that that's not transphobic?
I mean, yeah, I didn't like. Why would I have to repeat my? Yeah, how is it? Unless that doesn't even make sense, honestly. Like
You're
you're
saying
saying
that it
that
doesn't make
because
you're saying it
how
doesn't
does
make sense that her
yeah like
saying that gender is a social construct is not transphobic. You're saying
no, I'm saying we already covered my response to what she said. Now moving forward to you saying that somebody saying that gender is not a social construct is transphobic.
yeah.
That's where I like to hear your response.
Okay, fine. So not only to be clear, because what she said is
Mm,
objectively wrong, because literally
okay.
every major scientific organization has disproved it. For example,
Hmm.
here's an incomplete list of the reputable scientific and social organizations which recognize the difference between sex and gender. The
I
American
already said
Psychological Association. Yes, I know. I'm
okay.
just going to repeat it for the sake of the audience. The American Psychological
Hmm.
Association, the American Medical Association, the American Psychoanalytic Association, the American Academy of Pediatrics, the American College of Osteopathic Pediatricians, the United Nations, and the United Kingdom's National Health Service. So to be clear, what she said is logistically wrong, and we agree on that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I
Yeah,
yeah.
we.
Go
I just want
ahead.
to. Yeah,
I just don't like repeating myself 6 times. Like this, you know.
you're all good.
Yeah.
You're all good. So not only does what she say directly contradict modern scientific consensus, but it is also transphobic because the act of saying this has a materially adverse effect on the lives of trans people. This is because if you normalize the idea that gender is not a social construct, then it must be a biological one, and that any trans person who claims to identify contrary to their assigned gender at birth is wrong or lying, which is what Ben Shapiro and others like him argue. You agree with me, right? In
I
light of
mean,
this
there's
evidence, you agree with me that she's both wrong and transphobic in saying this, right?
no, I'm not, and actually, I don't appreciate trying to twist my words. I already said, and again, like I'm ready to move. You seem
No, no,
really
no, no, no,
stuck
no,
on.
no. We're not moving past this until we
No,
just want an answer.
I'm not saying I'm moving past it entirely, but you keep going back to what Ariel said. I already made my statement in what she said. I've now moved past to that point to discuss why that is transphobic and causing me suffering, which is it is not. That's where we're at now. So I don't
Yeah,
want to keep going back and forth. Is
I
my
just
point
told you why it's transphobic.
because gender but a lot of people have so many different meanings. You realize that the community in itself, right? Transgender people, like I hear all kinds of things. I've heard, first of all, like
I'm not
somebody
asking you
like
what other
Chase,
people said. I'm asking you what she said. And she said
and I
that
already,
gender is not a social construct, right?
I, and we're still going back to that. Yeah, I already answered that. I don't consider that to be transphobic. No. Why would that be transphobic? If somebody doesn't believe that, like that's their belief. Like it's fine.
If
If
someone
they're
believes that, are you telling
Mhm.
me that if someone believes that, then that has no effect on the lives of trans people?
Well, I'm trans, so how is that affecting me right now? It's not. Literally, it's not. Somebody can have a different opinion. Somebody could even say they don't believe. Let's say somebody says, I don't believe that transgender people are real, which, yeah, I've heard this a lot, or that trans people don't exist. I've heard this too, because I'm involved in a lot of discourse, and I'm like, that's really stupid. But is that literally physically causing me harm?
I'm not asking you if
No.
it literally physically causes you harm. I'm not asking if someone's beating you up over the fact that they believe this. I'm
But
asking you if it causes you or other trans people to suffer an adverse material effect. That can be something in
no, it
systemic.
doesn't. I'm only speaking for myself. Me, no, it doesn't. Like I said, people are going to have their opinions. It doesn't, I can't let everything bother me because then how am I going to even get out of bed? Now, other people, if they want to take words to be that harmful, that's different. But again, like different words might hurt me differently than you. So it would be, to me, I'd be more concerned with somebody that said, I'm gonna go out and like kill all transgender people or something like that. Like that, obviously, I would be alarmed. But somebody just sounding silly and saying transgender people don't exist or whatever, like okay, like I'm not gonna spend all day arguing with this person. This person wants to carry on believing that, whatever, it's fine. Like,
So let me just clarify your
yeah,
position because you're going on for a bit. So what you're saying is just a
mm,
difference of opinion does not justify saying that person is doing something transphobic. Mars, you there, buddy? Hello? I think he disconnected. Hello? Well, this is awkward. We are just getting into the meat of it. Words can't hurt you. Top tier argument. I know, right? Lord. Mars. Hello? I'm gonna try calling him back. I know. I don't know, fam. We might need to do the rest of the video without him. I'm trying to call him. I'm trying my best to call him. Like, listen. You all are making arguments where I'm going. Y'all are very smart people. I'm proud. I'm very proud of this community. Oh, he disconnected. Wow. That's unfortunate. Let me try calling him back. Oh, shit. His computer crashed. Or at least that's what he's sending me. This just happened, which has never happened before. Well, alright, he says he's logging back on. Don't worry, fam. He disconnected. He says that it's not... Oh, hold on. Are you back? Mars, are you back? Hello, are you here? Hello, are you here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, give me a second, sorry.
Yeah, I saw that your computer crashed.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I was like, oh, but yeah, I hopefully should be fine. That's never happened before. I don't know why.
You're all good. You're all good. That might allow me. So actually, you were sort of talking about a position that you seem to bring up in your video. So if you're ready to move forward, I actually kind of want to address that line of thought, if that's fine.
Yeah, give me just a second. Sorry, I'm loading
You're fine.
this back up on my end too.
You're fine. Tell me when you're ready. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So actually, you're sort of talking about a point I wanted to address that you brought up in your video as well. At 6 minutes and 7 seconds into your video, you said this. Now, the other argument that will probably be made is, well, what Arielle is saying is harmful and quite transphobic and yada, yada, yada. Well, you know what? That's your opinion. Just because your view of gender is different from hers, or because the way you view sex is different from hers, doesn't make somebody transphobic. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Sorry, you cut out there for a second. Okay, I want to dig into sort of this line of thought, because I think that's where we were going before we cut out.
Yeah.
So, sorry, you want to go, or were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say something. So one thing I've noticed in watching some of your videos and some other people that you follow is that I think this is something that my opinion, I mean, you could agree or not, but like, for example, it's like I look at gender and sex separately. Yeah, like I understand that and recognize that, but I feel like some people, like maybe you and others, seem to look through the optics of like mostly focusing on gender most of the time. And again, like I don't deny that, but I try to also acknowledge both. And just to be clear, this is this is not something I carry on in my day-to-day life. I'm just a part of, I like the discourse and I take part in it. In those situations, I tend to include like biological sex and also gender, but I separate them. And I feel like, I don't know if you feel that you kind of get where I'm coming from, but I think there's just like two groups of, and I know like a lot of people will say like you're transmitted and stuff, but to me, like, which I don't rock that label. I don't agree. But anyways, my point is like I feel like there's two groups that look at these topics from a different way.
So
And
Mars, I hear
one,
what you're talking
yeah.
about. This is a
Hmm.
discussion that we're going to be having in a little bit. Right now, the point that we're bringing up right now is whether a difference in opinion can justify transphobia. If you want, I can read back your quote, but that's specifically what I want to talk about right now. Okay? We'll talk about like the views
Hmm.
on gender and sex and how they interact, but I
I
want to make sure to
never.
get through this point. Okay?
Sure, go for it.
So I want to dig into this line of thought. Now, if a misogynist believes a woman's place is in the kitchen and I do not, does the fact that we disagree mean that misogyny is okay?
I've never said that. I've also never said that transphobia is okay, but clearly my view of what is transphobic and also
I'm not
hurts me or
asking you what
whatever.
your view of transphobia is. I'm just asking if the fact that I disagree with a misogynist, that a woman's place is in the kitchen, that belief becomes okay by virtue of the fact we disagree. And you'd agree with me that it doesn't, right?
I mean, I just answered it.
So you agree with
So,
me that a woman's place is not in the kitchen, right?
right, that's what I just said. Yeah.
Okay. If a racist believes in slavery and I do not, does the
Oh
fact
my
that we
God.
disagree mean that racism is okay?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep obviously no, racism isn't okay and
Yeah.
misogyny is not okay. But uh, like we don't I don't this is why I wasn't gonna do this because I don't feel like we're gonna get anywhere because you keep trying to get me to agree with your point of view of what transphobia to you is
We
when
already
I
agreed on what
m-
transphobia is. We already agree what transphobia is. We came to a
we
common
did
definition. Yeah, we
we
did.
yeah we agreed, but then we don't agree so far in these examples of transphobia. Like I
These are not examples of
and
transphobia.
also
We've
and
talked about one thing
also.
she's done. We haven't talked about any other
Mhm.
thing except for one example of transphobia and a bunch of
Okay.
hypotheticals.
Well, when are we gonna? Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay, if a Nazi believes we should kill all the Jews and I do not, does the fact we disagree mean that belief is okay?
I mean, the fact that you're even asking this is ridiculous.
Really,
Obviously,
because I mean, what you said in your video
that's not
is
okay.
what you
No.
said in your video was the fact that we disagreed with Arielle means that she's not transphobic. That's what you said,
So
right?
actually, my whole video, which everybody apparently has taken a lot of it the wrong way. First of all, the fact that I pointed out that there are three white wook dudes is me just kind of using identity politics and mocking the left because it's something that the left does a lot. Okay. Secondly, expressing your opinion. I just because I believe somebody should be allowed to express their opinion doesn't mean that I then agree with like all this other stuff, these examples you're bringing up. There's a difference between expressing your opinion and then obviously you're saying something whatever like wrong or hateful. That
So
was my
you're saying,
generally point. So
so
I
you
mean
agree that what she said was wrong and transphobic. You just don't like that
no,
people
and
are
you
criticizing her.
no, you don't. You know that I don't agree with that, but you keep putting words in my mouth, and you
I'm
can
not
do
putting
that for
words
the
in your mouth.
next.
I'm trying to
Yeah,
understand what you're saying.
you're trying to understand what I'm saying by trying to twist it in a way like I'm not stupid, no offense, but you can do that for the next hour, but I'm not gonna fall for it. Like again,
Okay, so then what's your
give me.
problem? Then help me understand what your problem is with people criticizing her. Help me understand
I
it.
don't have a problem with that. I don't have just to be clear, anybody can talk about trans stuff. You don't have to be trans. And obviously, especially people that are on YouTube, I completely get why they would be criticized. There's a difference between being criticized though and just dogpiled, right? Just being hated on, which I mean, I have tweets right here next to me that are now reflecting on my live stream where there's a bunch of tweets people saying when will Arielle Scarcella die? Is that criticism? Because I don't think so. When will Arielle Scarcella shut up? Is that criticism? No. And there's plenty of more. So my point isn't like there's plenty of videos on Arielle Scarcella that yeah, people are taking an hour to criticize her. That's fine. Even though I don't agree with some of what they're saying, that's totally fair. I don't have a problem with that. Now, people just being completely nasty to her when I'm sorry, Amazing Lucas is on YouTube. He's got 400,000 subs. To me, he probably fits your transphobic, definition as well, right? He says, and he focuses on trans stuff even way more, in my
You are
opinion.
pivoting so far away. We are
I'm
talking
not
about We
pivoting,
are talking about Vosh, Destiny, and Xanderhall and what they did.
but I'm not pivoting. I'm making a very valid point with
Hmm.
maybe other people will get it. My overall point is criticism is fine, but again, why is criticism only focused or not even criticism, like all this kind of hate is focused on one person. Yet find me an example of Arielle Scarcella saying that she wants trans people to die. You won't
all right,
find
to
it.
be clear. All right, to be clear. And this goes back to our definition of transphobia we established at the beginning. All right. You do not have to advocate to kill someone to be transphobic. All right. If you believe in slavery, you are not actively advocating for people. You're not actively advocating for Black people to die. And you know that that's still racist. All right. Clearly, you don't have to say that someone has to die to be bigoted towards those people. We can agree on that, right?
Yeah, and we could also agree that people saying that Arielle Scarcella should die is probably not okay, and maybe that's what I was trying to get across.
Did Vosh, Sanderhall, or Destiny ever say she should die?
Did I say that they did?
Well, this whole video was about them, so why are you bringing it up?
I'm bringing it up because it's relevant to my point.
What point?
Why I defend the point of my video, which is defending Arielle Scarcella, has a lot to do with what people say that is unnecessary, like her dying or her just, shut up all the time, like things like that. Again, criticism is okay. And yeah, it is valid. It's relevant to my point. I wouldn't be saying this otherwise.
Okay, I'm going to make a concession to you. All right? I agree that people shouldn't make death threats. I completely agree with you. People should not make death threats. All right? In this video, you said that the only reason you could gather why these people, Vosh, Sanderhall, and Destiny, were criticizing them was because they're all a bunch of misogynistic assholes and that Arielle's a woman. That's what you said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. I understand that making these sorts of comments, like these tweets that you're talking about, that's wrong. All right? We should never have political violence. Political violence is bad and all that. But it is good to call out, because the reason I brought up the examples I did was because these people were wrong, not just because we disagreed with them, but because they were openly advocating for materially adverse treatment of the different groups, whether it was women or Black people or Jews. This is the case with Arielle, where people are not arguing she is transphobic because they disagree with her views of gender, but because what she is saying is objectively wrong and harmful to trans people.
For example, trans women in prison. You want to talk about that a little bit?
We already talked about the first example where she said that gender isn't a social construct, and we've already been over why that is transphobic. We can talk about another example, but I also kind of want to put a pin in this because this is actually really important. This is also literally, so being able to call out people, you already agreed, right? That it's important to call out people who say things that are wrong on the internet. You'd agree with me that it's important to do that, right?
To an extent. I don't really believe in cancel culture and all this other crap, but sure.
Okay, well, to be clear, this is literally the exact remedy the Supreme Court has recommended for these types of situations. See Brandenburg for Ohio, but I'll break some things down for you. And this is just some free education.
I don't want free. Actually, no, we're not going to go through it. I'm not here to be educated by you just because you're a law student. I'm here to talk about that video. We could talk about everything that I said in the video. We could talk about things related to video. I'm not about to go into some law stuff.
No, this is actually no. This is very important. You want to criticize people for the fact that they're quote unquote dogpiling on her. I want to talk about why they are justified in doing that.
They're not. Right? They could do. I mean, they could do whatever they want. We already agreed that criticism is okay. My point again is the dogpiling with hatred that I don't see on anybody else.
Okay, dogpiling with hatred. Yeah. So I'm gonna. Yeah, so this goes directly to that point. This goes directly to that point. So okay. I'm gonna respond to it.
Okay, but I don't. You started off by saying free education. I'm not here to get educated by you. I'm here to have a conversation.
This goes to the conversation. I'm helping you understand why this is important. So first, the First Amendment does not give anyone complete, unabridged freedom to say whatever they want. There are limits. Secondly, one of those limits is when people make specific and actionable statements intended to incite harm against a specific group of people. And third, if hate speech is not prohibited, for example, if it's very general, then the current opinion of the court is to have the remedy be other speech criticizing the original hate speech. This goes back to John Stuart Mill's concept of the free marketplace of ideas, which is weird, since conservatives love using that as justification for having platforms in the first place, but can't take any criticisms themselves. So Mars, listen, the current opinion of the court is essentially, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, man. If you don't like the criticisms coming at you, then the court's not going to do anything. And the law says that we should be engaging in this sort of criticism. If someone says something objectively wrong on YouTube, you can bet a tidal wave of people going after that person to criticize them. That's literally what the law says to do.
And I did not disagree with the criticism. My point. Okay, it's fine. I mean, I'm still waiting for more examples of Arielle.
Okay, yeah, let's go on.
Yeah,
At
please.
10 seconds into her video on Leaving the Left, Arielle makes the argument that people claim she is transphobic for having gender preferences, and she cites two videos as examples. Now, Mars, have you taken the time to watch either of the videos she cited as evidence?
Some of it. I mean, it's been a while.
Okay, so can you tell me what the people said in those videos?
I mean, I don't have direct quotes, no, but I know that.
Can you tell me generalities?
No, I mean, maybe on the Riley one, something along the lines of, I mean, basically the gist of that video is Riley kept implying that, you know, there's such a thing as like sexism, and, you know, having preferences is like could be wrong or whatever. And then, yeah, I mean, I don't remember the whole video. I don't watch, like, I'm not trying to watch Riley, so.
That's fine, that's fine. I just want your general understanding from when you last watched it. And so what you said is that she implied that having gender preferences is wrong. That's what you just said.
Yep, and there's a bunch of other people that have said that.
I'm not asking about what other people have said. I'm asking what the people who Arielle cited in her video said. And your understanding is that Arielle said that having gender preferences is wrong. That's your understanding.
Sure, go for it.
Okay, so at 4 minutes and 13 seconds into that video, Riley said this, quote, "I've never said that anyone has to have sex with someone with a penis if they don't want to." So, yeah, not only does she not say that, but she actually explicitly goes out of her way to say the opposite.
Okay, there's way more to that video though. So, I mean, yeah, in that,
I mean, if you
you're
want,
just gonna,
if you want, we can just, like,
no,
your understanding was that she said something completely contrary to what she said. I'm just pointing that out. You said that she thought more. You thought she said one thing, and then she said another. That's all I'm pointing out. Now, did you watch the other video that she cited?
I might have watched a little bit of it. No, and also there's more to Riley's video than that. I mean, there's a reason why everybody has done response videos to that video.
Okay,
so.
Are you saying, all right, so do you want to pull out a quote that she said, where she said that it's transphobic to have gender preferences?
Who, Arielle?
No, Riley. Do you know where she says in that video that she had?
No, I literally just told you I don't. Why aren't we asking this question though? Why is that even a subject?
It's all right. Literally, Arielle is the one who made it a subject. She's the one who said in her video that people argue that she is transphobic for having gender preferences. She cited two examples. I'm going through those examples. All right.
So you're saying Arielle is the original person that brought up this topic for debate in history. Like, she's the first one.
Oh, not in history. I'm not going to make that in history. Here, absolutely, based on what she's showing.
Because that's not what I see, you know.
All right, do you have any evidence?
I mean, you could just go to freaking, like, on Twitter and probably look it up.
I'm not asking about going on Twitter. I'm asking about, do you have any instances where people have criticized Arielle and called her transphobic for having gender preferences? Do you have any examples of that?
I don't know if I have Arielle specifically, but there's plenty of lesbians that
I'm not asking about Arielle specifically. I'm specifically asking about Arielle. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm specifically asking about Arielle. Do you have any examples of people calling her transphobic for having gender preferences?
Okay, but my video it's about Arielle, but in the end there, I make it very clear that it's about women and lesbians.
Yeah, I'm asking. Yeah, we're going to examples of where she's transphobic, and this is an example.
I just told you, no, I don't have a direct quote that can, like, point out that somebody said that you're transphobic or something for having general preferences towards Arielle. But my point still remains, which you're probably going to keep ignoring, like all my other points, is
all right, bring it up. Let me see the point.
That is a thing that happens to a lot of lesbians by certain people in the community. I'm not saying everybody does this, but the reason that lesbians like Arielle are talking about it is because they're being attacked by other people.
Okay, do you have any examples of this? Do you have any examples?
How about go to turfisaslur.com and you'll
go to turfisaslur.com. Yeah, are you serious?
Yeah,
holy
I figured that
shit.
That
go
really
to turfisaslur.com. Oh my god. Okay.
There's stuff there. Like,
you don't think that's biased in the slightest? You don't think that's biased in the
I
slightest?
mean,
You think
I've
that's
seen
trustworthy?
stuff like this online though. Like I engage in this discourse, so it's not a lie. So I mean, if you want to deny it, that's fine. Again, I'm not here to convince
Okay,
you.
fine.
My
Are you
point
going to
is,
deny?
my
Are you
point
going to
is not my
deny that the
point.
thing
Can you let
should?
me finish? Let me
Sure.
finish my point. My point is, you can sit there and laugh about it. Oh my God, a TERF, like whatever. I don't care. My point is, there's a reason that all these women are talking about this, and it's not because it's fun. Like this isn't a fun thing for me.
Oh, I
I'm
don't
doing this
believe y'all are
because
having fun.
I'm talking about this because I'm tired of the dishonesty and the disgusting behavior that some people are showing towards women. It's
You
not
know, it's
cool.
funny. I'm
It's
also
not
I'm
cool.
also extremely tired of dishonesty, which is why it's really interesting to me that she cites two examples allegedly of people calling her transphobic for having gender preferences, and no one says at any point in either video. So let's be clear. Arielle
That
made the
she's
argument.
like,
Arielle Scarcella made the argument that people were calling her transphobic for having certain gender preferences. She
mhm.
provided two examples of this in her video. Not only is that not argued in either video, but the people in each go out of their way to specifically say that it is fine for her to have the preferences she does, and nobody is forcing her to do anything. You agree with me that this characterization of hers is extremely dishonest, right, Mars?
I mean, I find issues with those videos, so I'm not gonna agree. I
You
mean,
don't, you don't believe that people saying one thing and her saying that they said the exact opposite is dishonest. You're not gonna agree with me that that's dishonest. This is a really easy
You're talking
question.
about
This is a
air.
really easy question. You're not going
Okay,
to agree with me that Arielle was dishonest in saying that.
and saying that in those videos they were calling directly her transphobic.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going.
No,
So
I mean I don't. Well, I didn't see that other person's in full, but
okay, here,
I'll
I'll just
I'll
read
go.
you. I'll just read you a quote
No,
from hers then. I'll just read you a quote from hers then.
no,
At
let me
17
finish
minutes and
though.
17 seconds.
Can you
Okay,
let me finish?
yeah,
Like
go on. I have a
my
quote here saying
my
exactly to the opposite of that.
that's cool, and you might not need to read that quote. My point is, I haven't watched the other video in full, but if we're going on by off of like just Riley's video, like no, Riley obviously didn't directly say Arielle Scarcella, you're transphobic. As far as I know, I did when I watched that video a long time ago.
You'd be
So
right in
no,
saying that.
yeah. So I'm not arguing that, but yeah, my whatever. I already made my
Okay,
argument.
so you would agree with me that by putting that up when she's making the argument that some people are calling her transphobic for having gender preferences, you would agree with me that's dishonest, right? Since she literally never says that in the video.
I mean, I can see how it might have been like I could see how that could be confused, but I think the
I'm not
maybe the
asking if it's
overall,
confused. I'm asking if it's dishonest.
and I'm trying to finish. Like you need to
Okay.
stop cutting me off. Like
Okay,
my
then
point
please
is,
answer.
when I know when I originally watched that, I thought it was like a super issue because what I took away from that video was that having preferences was wrong. Even though they start off with in the video saying that it's not, and then later on in the video I'm like, okay, like it didn't make sense. So that's
Is it
my
your
takeaway from
fault?
the
Is it
video.
your fault for misunderstanding what someone else says?
I don't know. Is it your fault for misunderstanding what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Like,
damn, that hurt. Ow, my
no, I'm not
pride.
trying to hurt you, but I mean, you keep asking me these questions. Like, that's just my
I'm
point of.
literally just asking you about direct quotes.
And
That's all.
but you're asking me a question, making me try like look stupid over here. Like, I
I'm
already
not trying to
answered it,
make you look stupid. I'm just trying to get your answer on whether or not Arielle
and
is dishonest for,
I gave you my answer.
directly. Okay, and
I'm
the
not
answer
gonna
is that
answer it
she's
again.
dishonest, right?
Nope, I didn't say that, and I'm not gonna repeat
Okay,
myself. So I'm
fine.
sorry. Yep.
Cool. So let's be clear.
Hmm.
This is also the exact this is really interesting that you're saying this. It's interesting that you're fighting it, considering this is the exact situation from the hypothetical earlier. Someone tells her one thing, and she goes off crying, saying they said something else. Not only, to be clear, is this incredibly dishonest, but it's also transphobic because when people believe when she makes this argument and constructs a straw man of the progressive left, of course any reasonable person would agree with her. But nobody on the left does this, not even the people she cited. But because of the way she frames the argument, she will make people who don't know any better believe that trans activists actually make this argument and develop a negative view of them, which may have a materially adverse effect on their lives because they're trans.
Okay. I mean, some trans people are not doing a very good job at portraying us in a good light either. So, and also, I don't know what you mean by progressive. Like to me, there's a difference between far left and right. So I'm not going to say here. I don't think everybody on the left doesn't agree with certain things that I'm saying, because some people are liberal and can actually understand my point. So I don't know how you generalize both sides, but to me, there's a difference between somebody being far right, far left,
I'm
and
only
then maybe kind of
generalizing
more
to the effect
moderate.
that Arielle does. She criticizes the progressive left and the far left on multiple occasions. In fact, that's literally what she does in the video. That's all I'm referencing is her reference to the quote unquote progressive left. All right. I understand that there is more nuance.
Yeah. Okay. What's the next thing?
Okay. In another video that Arielle put out, her interview with Steven Crowder at 13 minutes and 30 seconds in, and I was expecting this to be sort of more of a slam dunk, like an easy question, but she just says that she's a TERF. She says that feminism doesn't always include trans women, and she argues that because of differences between trans and cis women, specifically relating to biological sex, that trans women should be excluded from certain women's spaces. So, Mars, I really want to ask this, and I really want to just hope that the answer is yes, but you agree with me that's pretty explicitly transphobic, right?
Wait, sorry, I got distracted. Give me a second. I'm going to turn off my live stream.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, go, sorry. Go ahead and repeat that.
Yeah. So she says that she's a TERF in the video with Steven Crowder, the interview with Steven Crowder. She says that feminism doesn't always include trans women. And she says that because of differences between trans and cis women, specifically relating to biological sex, that trans women should be excluded from certain women's spaces. You agree with me, and again, this is an easy question. You agree with me that's pretty explicitly transphobic, right, Mars?
To want to have separate spaces in some scenarios?
I'm not asking for separate spaces. I'm saying that she is identifying as a trans exclusionary radical feminist. She's not asking for separate spaces. She's asking to exclude women, especially trans women, entirely from certain feminist spaces and women's spaces. You agree with me that's pretty explicitly transphobic, right?
I don't really... Depends what spaces we're talking about, sorry.
She just said women's spaces. She just said women's spaces. But are you going to argue? All right, are you going to make the argument? Yeah, go ahead.
But here's the thing, like, that's why I wanted to cover what spaces exactly, because, I mean, I have concerns with, for example, going back to prison. Like, to me, like, we should safeguard both trans women and women in prison. Like, these are two things I think everybody should care about, personally.
Mars,
like,
I hear you. But let me just ask you the simple question then. Do you think that it's transphobic? Again, this is a very easy question. Do you think that it's transphobic to identify as a trans exclusionary radical feminist?
Depends what that means. Like I said, I'm called a TERF. A bunch of people are called TERF. Like, it's what does that mean? It depends. Like, these questions are dumb. I honestly, like, can we get to like the actual? I don't understand. I thought this was gonna go a little bit different.
You don't understand. You asked for examples where she was being transphobic. This seems like a pretty explicit. Example.
It's not, because it really means what. Because to me, I think it's important to have trans men spaces sometimes. Like, if I want, like, let's say a little support group or something for only trans men, I don't think that's bad. So if I call myself in that group, let's say cis exclusionary, am I now a bad guy? No. It depends. Like, if we're talking, like, be specific, because again, TERF has been like watered down, like every other word nowadays. Like, it means different things depending on who's using it. So could we specify what space you're talking about?
I'm talking about what she said. I'm talking about exactly what she said.
Okay,
all right.
Okay, I'll pass. I don't.
You'll pass. Okay, that's probably a smart move. Let's actually. All right. So she does have sort of one example. At 14 minutes and 31 seconds. She argues that trans women have a sex advantage in sports or other places where they take advantage of self-identification systems. Are you going to argue that that's not transphobic?
Trans women have advantage in sports, and what was that last part?
Other places where they take advantage of self-identification systems.
You said that's transphobic?
I'm asking you if you're going to argue that's not transphobic. I mean, I think it is pretty clearly, but I'm asking your position.
How the hell is that? Like, well, first of all, can we break it down, like, regarding trans women in sports having an advantage? I mean, I'd be open to understand.
Are you saying that they do? Are you adopting that view?
Can you let me finish?
Go for it.
So, I mean, I don't think I'm not gonna have to go into that right now, but I mean,
You're not going to go into that?
I said I'm not going to have time to get into that for a long time because I feel like that would go on forever. But my view on that is, I am curious, which I don't know what the information is on this. I'd be curious to know.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
if
I
you
have some
take,
information on this for you if you want it. I
go
have
for
some
it.
right here. Do you want it?
Sure, go for it.
Okay. In 2017, Sports Medicine conducted a meta-analysis covering prior research on trans individuals' performance in sports and pre-existing sports policies concerning trans people. The study showed two things. First, that there is no consistent or direct research indicating transgender women have an unfair athletic advantage at any stage of their transition. And secondly, that most sports policies are not evidence-based and that trans individuals experience substantial discrimination from sports institutions. So to be
At
clear,
any, so
yeah, at
to
any
be,
stage. Do you
so
want the? I
to
can link
be,
it to you.
I mean, I don't want to get so hyped. Like, let me finish. So at any stage, so basically somebody that say transition at a young age, and somebody that transitioned at, let's say, at the age of 30, there's no difference there.
It
Because
says that there is no study. Mind you, this is a meta-analysis. This was
that
literally
yeah.
the aggregate of all other studies done in the subject area. They found there is no evidence to say that whatsoever.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so you agree with me that when she says that, it's both wrong and transphobic, right?
No, I don't agree because actually I'm not gonna. I
Are you
don't agree.
anti-science? Are you anti-science? Is that what you're saying?
I never said I'm anti-science. If you're
Okay,
gonna sit here
here's the
just
science.
shout
Here's the
accusations at
science.
me, it's
Here's the
not. It
science.
okay. Like I said earlier in the stream, like whatever you want to cite as science might differ from a different other sources.
All right, do
Okay,
you have any
like
other sources? Do you have any other
no,
sources?
because I wasn't. I'm not. I wasn't prepared to debate over trans women in sports. Like I wasn't something that.
Well, you're the one who wanted to defend Arielle Scarcella and say she's not transphobic.
Yeah, and I continue to do so because so far, like,
Yeah, this is something
I'm
in
not
one of her
convinced.
videos.
Yeah,
You're not convinced.
my-
This is literally science. This is literally a meta-analysis, and you're not convinced by it? Are you serious?
There's differences between biological male and female that doesn't change even after transition.
This literally shows, and mind you, that's a whole nother discussion, but this
That's-
literally shows there is no evidence to suggest that that affects performance at any stage of competition. And you're just not going to believe that.
I'd be curious what they focused on because there's differences.
I'll send you the study.
Like, the size, like lung differences, like, my shoulders are way smaller in a freaking biological male. Like, these are
I just
all
sent you the
different
study.
things. That's cool. I'm not gonna read it right now because I like to get through this conversation. I'll look at it later though.
Okay. I mean, like, we can settle this right now. We have it in front of us. Like, we can literally just like settle this right now if you want to. Like, it's something that we could just like put away so that, we don't have like someone who's denying science in this conversation. Like, we can do that. Like, it's something that's available to us as an option.
I don't deny science. I just don't think that there's a difference. Like, why are sports segregated to begin with?
I'm not asking why sports is segregated to begin with. I'm asking if you believe the findings in this literal meta study. Are you saying you don't believe it?
I mean, I haven't looked at it. I mean, my point is, I still don't agree with the way that things are going about in trans women in sports because, like, first of all, according to most
I'm sorry. I think I misunderstood. I think I wasn't giving you enough credit. Can you tell me where you got your PhD from?
You want to end the stream, or are you just?
Can you tell me where you got your PhD from? I'm curious.
I never said I did. If
Can
you
you
want,
tell me
we
where
could
you
end
got
the
your
stream.
master's in biology from?
Do you have a master's in biology?
No, I just listen to people who do have masters in biology.
Okay. So you don't have a master's in biology either. So, like,
no, I just listen
again,
to people who do.
Is there a point to you insulting me, basically?
Yeah, I mean, like, I just want to know why you feel like you're able to disagree with people who actually have like science degrees.
Because there's a biological difference in sexes. That's why. And I'm sorry that because I say that I'm denying science, but that is a fact.
Okay, you're saying that that's a fact, that there's a biological difference between sex. You wanna talk about that?
What is a woman? Because according to Vosh, a woman is an identity. If a woman is an identity, then Vosh could just go compete against female, which is insane. But that's 2020,
that's where you got that.
and yet, no, that's not where I got that. That's where a lot of people in the community say that identity is what a woman or man is, which I don't agree with that. That's not how that works. Again, like, I would probably get. I mean, if you put me in, let's say, the male population in prison that probably wouldn't end so well for me. So my point is, these sex differences do matter. And no, that's not transphobic. That's not anti-science. That's just a fact that you want to deny.
Okay, you want to talk about science and facts that we're denying? So here is a quote from a publication in Sage Journals of the Modern Scientific Attitudes on Human Sex. Quote, "The view that the world's population can be separated into a clearly defined dyadic unit of male and female is defunct. Not only clinical observations, but molecular biology has established that sexual identity is on a continuum with enormous potential for variance. Additionally, Scientific American also put out a graphic describing the many characteristics which factor into one's sexual identity." I'm going to send this to you, and I want you to let me know when you get it. All right? I just sent it to you over Discord. Let me know when you have it. Do you have it open?
Hang on a second. Okay. Is it the beyond XX and XY?
Hey, there you go. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Yeah, there's variations. That still doesn't. I know that there's.
What this shows is the ambiguous and bimodal nature of sex, and that sex is not as simple as XX and XY. Biological sex is on a bimodal distribution, not a direct binary. All right. You said you made the argument that there's a distinction in the biological sexes. This said that distinction is not as clear as you want to make it out to be. This literally is the science. This is the majority scientific consensus, and you want to literally argue that this isn't what people say. You want to say that this isn't what the science is, but it is. So if you want to talk about denying science, you are the one literally denying science right now.
I've never said that there isn't variation, but that still doesn't change the fact that there are a difference between male and female. There could be two males, and there could be variations in their biology, but it's still. I'm not arguing that some areas are it's not an argument over that. I'm just saying that there's still differences between male and female. Okay, like that's all I'm saying.
Even though, according to the study that we talked about earlier, there actually really aren't, or at least no differences which affect competitions. And in fact, people only experience discrimination, which is unjustified by modern sports policies.
You're saying there's no difference. Just to be clear, I don't know if I heard you right. You said there's no difference between male and female?
I'm saying that there are differences between everyone, and that sex factors in a lot less that people think. All right. There are large women, there are small women, there are fast women, there are weak women, there are slow women. There are women and men of all different kinds and variations in between. That doesn't mean that we'd have to draw a hard line based on a category that frankly just does not exist according to the modern scientific consensus. When you try to divide people according to biological male or biological female, you are using scientific fiction. You are using something which scientists themselves do not believe in.
Depends what freaking scientists you're going to.
Do you have any sources? Do you have any sources? If you want to bring up a scientist, if you want to bring up a study, then bring it up. But do you have any available to you? Do you have any?
No, I didn't bring a bunch of studies with me. Like the difference is still there are differences in male and females though. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why you're getting so heated. It's like there's primary and secondary sex characteristics that male and females have. And that's not to say that, like, I'm not sitting here saying that there aren't women that are tall or short. Obviously, that's a thing. There are variations, but my overall point is that males and females are sculpted differently. Like, we are different. I have uterus, for example. Like, these things are different, and that's what I mean by biological sex. Like, I'm not saying that
should we treat people differently based on the things that you brought up, like the fact that someone's born with a uterus? Does that mean that we should treat that person differently?
I don't know why you would even ask that. I've never said that. No,
because that's what Arielle said, that we should treat people differently.
No, she's not saying treat. Okay, there should be. I don't know why this is so hard to get, but I'm pretty much. I'll go for another 15 minutes, but after that, I'm good because I feel like we're going nowhere. Okay, to me, like for example, I have concern over like prison. Like if I went to prison, I wouldn't want to go to the female one, but I also don't feel like male one would work out very well for me considering that I'm trans. So I think probably put me in a special wing or something would
Mind you,
help
I never
because
brought up prisons, but let me ask you a question on this.
I
Do you
didn't, but
think
I'm making a point. I know you didn't bring that up. I'm using that as an example because to me, the only reason that I am, I'm different in that way is because I'm trans, and I wouldn't be safe in those areas, and then I would be, not comfortable and probably make women uncomfortable in the other space. So that's my point. I'm not trying to say that because people are different, they should be treated differently or less than. I just think that in certain situations, yeah, these things do matter.
Okay, and I understand that's your personal opinion. Do you
Yes,
understand that
sure.
Arielle's opinion is that we should treat people differently based on sex advantage and similar things in sports or other places where they can take advantage of self-identification systems? You understand that's Arielle's position, right?
You understand why that position is even a debate right now? Because of
You're
certain
dodging the
things?
question. I'm asking not about what your opinion is, but about what hers is. And you understand that her opinion is to treat people differently based on what she defines as biological sex. You understand that, right?
Not what she's not. That's not what she's ever said. And when
Really?
she said, yeah, really, and
Do you want to?
when
I
she
mean, we can bring up a quote. We can go ahead and
I
bring up
mean,
a quote.
I've said the same. Like my overall point, which is similar to hers, is in certain situations these things matter. So no, I don't like. She's never said we should always treat everybody differently in every scenario. It's specific to these areas that are like, for example, especially just going back to the prison thing. Like that is one of the topics that everybody's always debating because that is a concern.
Mars, you understand what a trans exclusionary radical feminist is,
And
right?
do you understand that it's possible to safeguard trans women, trans men, cis women, cis men? Like that is possible, and not
Yeah, but you are
come off
not
as
arguing what she did. You are not even coming close. What she argued was to exclude trans women from certain women's spaces and feminist discussions because they are trans, because of quote unquote biological differences. Those differences are not as clear cut. Biological sex as a term is scientific fiction. And the fact that you
It's
want to
scientific
exclude trans
fiction?
fiction. Yes, I just showed you why. I just showed you
That's
three
not
different studies
biological
that said
sex is
why.
not okay.
Do you want me to read I can read the quote again. I can read it again.
I don't need you to read the quote because I
Because
can
it does.
like,
Because why? Because you're a science denier. Because you don't want to hear what the
I'm not a
science
science
says.
denier, and I'm pretty much about ready to wrap this up because I don't appreciate you sitting here accusing me of stuff. I could probably show you sources of mine, and then you would probably sit there and not agree with it because it doesn't fit what you would rather believe.
I mean, if you want to go ahead and do that, then you're more than welcome
No,
to.
I don't have all the time in the world. And again, this is going back to my original point. I said there's two train of thoughts here. And this is exact the moment that I'm talking about, is you would rather choose to look at things more in this beyond, biological sex, beyond the binary. Like
I look at things
everything is
according
like,
to the modern scientific consensus. That's
well,
all I'm
modern
doing.
science that's fine. Like you could believe that, but because I still
mean,
choose to focus on the sex differences and also gender.
No. When you say that, understand that you are literally saying that you believe in something that is not scientific. Understand you are believing something because you want to.
That's your opinion.
I mean,
Like,
you're
I'm
allowed
not,
to be wrong, and I'm allowed to be
and
right.
so
And I guess
are
we
you.
can just, yeah.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah. Do you have
totally wrap
anything?
this
Do you have
up.
anything
Yeah.
to actually back up why you're right? Do you have anything to actually show us why you're right? Do you have anything? Anything at all?
Have you guys not? You've never opened up a book on science, or is it just like?
Oh my God! Are you pulling the? Oh yeah, everything. Like we learned about this in 5th grade, so clearly that must be the end
So
all.
yeah,
Are you pulling that argument?
I'm not saying that's. I'm just saying that's the end all. I'm just saying like that still holds something today. That's all I'm saying. Like there's
Okay,
still
let me ask you a question.
value.
Let me ask you a question.
There's still value in that.
Let me ask you a question. So, when did you learn about Christopher Columbus? When did you learn about Christopher Columbus?
Okay, I'm ready to honestly wrap this up because this is.
When
going
did you learn about Christopher Columbus? What did you learn about him? Did you learn about him in the 5th grade?
Did you have anything else you want to talk about regarding that video? If not, I'm good to go.
All right. You know what? I'll move on. I want to bring up a different subject before
We
you
just
skate
do
out
one
on me.
more. We can just do one more, and that's it. Before I what?
Before you skate out, I'll bring up one more argument. Because you're the one who's saying that you're leaving. I'm fine. I have all the time in the world.
I don't have all the time in the world. So.
Okay, then I'll bring up one more before you skate out. So at 6 minutes and 26...
I told you that I had an hour.
You told me that you would like to wrap it up in an hour to an hour 20. I told you that if... Yeah. And I said that's what I'm aiming for, but we're having such a great conversation. I just really want to keep it going.
We're not, because you said that... You had asked me if I'm going to come in good faith, and all you've done so far is, like, kind of be an ass, to be honest.
Yeah,
So
except I've literally provided
one more
you. All
question.
right.
You could provide it, but that's the thing. Like you could provide all the sources you want. You can make your points, but you don't have to be an asshole about it. Like why?
You know, you're the one.
What's
I mean, like,
what's the
things
point?
could go a lot better if you could just like acknowledge when Arielle lies and if you could agree with scientific consensus.
I acknowledge
like,
when I didn't agree with her, and I acknowledge when she wasn't accurate. Now you're just mad because I haven't acknowledged everything else that you believe, and I'm not going to do that. So
I'm not mad. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I can tell you got so triggered. Let's go one more question, and that's it. Then I'm good to go.
Okay. So at 6 minutes and 26 seconds into your video, you said this. And again, I happen to agree with a lot of what she says, talking about Arielle Scarcella. So I guess that by that definition, I'm transphobic too, which is absolutely insane, but welcome to 2020. That's what you said, right?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and send you a picture. I want you to let me know when you have it.
Okay, what's your point?
All right, are you looking at it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you know what this is?
Can you just go straight to the point? Like I'm so over this little.
I'm asking if you. I'm just asking if you know what this is.
It's obviously it's a kind of airplane, so just go ahead and ask and explain the whole thing.
Okay, so during World War II, researchers from the Center for Naval Analyses had conducted a study of the damage done to aircraft that returned from missions and had recommended that armor be added to areas that showed the most damage, shown by the red dots here. But Abraham Wald noted that the study only considered the aircraft that had survived their missions. The bombers that had been shot down were not present for the damage assessment. The holes in the returning aircraft then represented areas where a bomber could take damage and still return home safely. This is called survivorship bias. Survivorship bias or survival bias is the logical error of concentrating on the people or things that made it past some selection process and overlooking those that did not, typically because of their lack of visibility. This can lead to false conclusions in several different ways. Now, Mars, do you know why this is relevant here?
You're about to tell me, so just go ahead and tell me. Like, cut to the chase.
All right. The reason this is relevant is because it can apply to people from marginalized backgrounds. If you come from a background that afforded you more advantages than the average person from your categorical group, that entails a danger of leading you to develop a false belief or false beliefs about the nature of your group and how it functions in society. So let's be clear, since you said this, of course, a trans person can be transphobic. Just like a black man can be racist, a woman can be misogynistic, and a gay man can be homophobic, because there will always be exceptions to the norm who come from more advantaged circumstances than others from the same group. If anything, it shows that you're a product of your advantages, and so you allow that entire background to color the way that you look at the entire trans community. Just like Blair White, just like Rose of Dawn, just like Calvin Gara, and any others who think like you do.
Well, okay. Well, first of all, I know that a person can be transphobic if they're trans, just like a person can be racist, no matter, what color their skin is. Second of all, what advantage are you assuming that I have?
Well, I mean, I'm looking at you, or I've seen pictures of you, and you pass wonderfully. You look like a very strapping man. Congratulations. HRT done did you well. And I mean, it's weird, but I look at a lot of very similar people, especially like Blair White, Calvin Gara, Rose of Dawn, and a lot of you just happen to pass like super well, like you just happen to look like fantastic. And it's like people don't clock you as trans in society. It's almost as if you don't have to deal with the negative repercussions of transphobia like what we've been talking about in your day-to-day life. It's just weird to me. Don't you have any comment on that?
First of all, I put effort into what I'm doing. I still haven't even had surgeries yet.
Okay,
so I don't know what. So I don't. No. Let me finish.
Okay.
I don't care that we disagree, but this attitude that people in the community have over some of us that put effort into passing, or some of us that work to get surgery, that we now pass and we just have this entire privilege. Like, I don't appreciate that. You don't know my life.
I'm not saying that you're a bad person. Like, I put a lot of work into it as well, and I hope that's
fine. I'm not denying that you do, but like, stop. How is this even helping the community? Like, this whole trans med true scum divide. It's so stupid.
How do people like Blair White and Calvin Gara benefit the community when they go out of their way to criticize and dogpile on other trans people? How is that helpful to the community?
I mean,
answer me that. You want to answer? You want to talk about what's helpful to the community? How is that helpful to the community? How is what Arielle Scarcella doing helpful to the community?
You want to like take it down a second so I can answer? Like, do
Go
you want
for
me to
it.
answer
Tell
that?
me why. Tell me why what Arielle Scarcella is doing is helpful to the community.
Oh, so we're going back to her. To
I mean,
me,
that's what we were talking about.
well, you brought up Blair and Calvin, so that's why I'm, I wasn't sure if you wanted me to talk about that. In regards to Arielle Scarcella, she's being a good role model for lesbians, in my opinion, and she's speaking out about stuff that I also think it could potentially be an issue towards trans people and towards women. So I don't have a problem with,
So
I
by
don't agree.
dogpiling on trans women in her videos, she's actually benefiting the trans community. That's what you're saying.
Dogpiling on trans women, kind of interesting considering everybody's dogpiling her. It's the other way
Yeah,
around.
gee, I wonder why. Maybe it's because of the free marketplace of ideas we were talking about, where people literally have a constitutional right to call out hate speech when they see it. It's really weird how people do that.
I'm not. We already covered that point, but you keep saying that she's dogpiling trans women, but like I don't see her going off on trans women.
In
She's made videos.
seven out of the last 11 of her videos, she has at some point criticized or made some joke about trans women, either the entire video or a passing comment. You know that the majority of her content is about trans women, which is weird considering she's not even trans, as you've said it. But the difference between her and the people that you brought up before is that she goes out of her way to attack trans people. And here's some news for you: all the science I brought up so far have been used by Xanderhal and Vosh and other people to defend trans people, which is really weird how you're trying to say that they're the same by virtue of the fact that they're both cis people, or that they're all cis people, and that there's no other difference between them. It's so weird to me how you managed to overlook that. How you managed to just overlook that.
I'm not saying that there aren't any differences, and also if people like Xanderhal, if that's the kind of person that you agree with and want to follow, that's fine. I don't agree with somebody that, doesn't believe. Pretty sure he had said like there's no two sexes, and he doesn't. He thinks that there's never going to be a regret
he agrees with science. Yes.
He doesn't agree that there's ever going to be a regret of transition rate and things like that. And so I don't. I also don't agree with Vosh saying that a woman is an identity. So like
he agrees with science. Yes. I mean, you're allowed to be a science denier. You're allowed to do that if you want to. We've already gone over why you're basically a science denier. You're allowed to do that. Just own it, dude.
Why don't you own that you're a science? You're the one sitting here saying that.
I have read you quotes from like over 5 or 6 different studies on everything that I've said so far. And somehow you're the one concluding that I'm a science denier and you don't have any degree or any expertise to back up what you're saying.
You don't have a degree in science either, so I don't know.
So I'm listening to people with the degrees.
Oh,
I literally go out of my way
to and I'm listening to people that have a degree too.
Tell me, name one person.
No,
name one person.
You prefer to listen to the train of thought, which is fine. I don't care, but I'm not going to sit here any longer because I'm not here to argue. Like, this is why I didn't want to do this. It's going nowhere. There's no point. Again, going back to my original point, there's some people that would rather look at gender and sex in a different way. That's fine. And some of us would rather look at it in a different way. Now, why is it that?
Yeah. Just like how how Nazis are fine looking at it's just a difference of opinion.
Now you're bringing Nazis.
If the Nazis want to exterminate all the Jews, it's fine. It's just a difference of opinion. If racists just want slavery, it's fine. It's just a difference of opinion, right? That's what you're saying. It's just a difference of opinion.
That's actually not what I'm saying. But I'm good to wrap this up because I'm not gonna keep going when obviously you get all heated and start bringing stupid shit up. So
I call out people when they're wrong, and I cite facts because in the words of someone who came up with a saying but actually drastically misuses it at every opportunity, facts don't care about your feelings. So
I don't know why you assume that's something that I say all the time. But whatever.
Whatever. You're fine. You're allowed to be a science denier. You can go on and do that. Live your life.
Notice how you're the one like throwing this stuff at me. Like you're the one that had to go there. Even though
you're the one who asked to talk to me in the first place.
I said you want to have a conversation, not an angry debate, which is basically what this turned into. And also, you started off this conversation saying, can you promise to be in good faith and yada yada. And yet, the person that got aggressive here was you.
Believe me, I'm
not
aggressive.
Have a great day, though. Good. No, it shows. Have a great day.
Yeah, you have a great day too. Bye.